Hey, this is the Double Negative Podcast, a photography podcast by Will Malone, with your host, me, the titular Will Malone. In this episode, I want to talk about photography predictions and trends in 2025. But first, you can follow me on Instagram at Will Malone. You can follow my Polaroid Instagram account at Everyday Instant. You can support the Double Negative Project by liking this video and subscribing to my YouTube channel. You can also go to Substack, go to the Double Negative Dispatch, sign up for my weekly Thursday newsletter. But the ultimate way to support this Double Negative project, whatever this is to go to willmalone.com and order a print from my website. I would be honored if you hung one of my prints on your wall. Now let's get to the topic at hand. So, predictions and trends and stuff. I don't really care about trends in photography. I really don't. I think probably if I did, I would probably have a larger following. Probably more people would pay attention to anything I do if I was more trendy. So initially, I was not going to do this, but then I started just Googling around, like, what are the trends for 2025? Just out of curiosity, I started Googling around, and I realized that there was maybe one guy that made an article about what he thought some vague trends would be about 2025. And every article I would find through pages and pages of Google was just like a copy and paste of that original one. The original one that I saw may not have even been the original one. Who even knows at this point? But that's just what the internet is. It's a copy of a copy of a copy. There's an originator. We don't know who he is, probably never gets attribution as being the originator, and everyone probably benefits more from copying the originator. And that's just where we're at. But I struggle to find trends with some insight is ultimately the issue. And I would say the common thread amongst these predictions and trends listed online is this idea of authenticity. Basically, the idea, the greatest trend, and it's been the same for 2023, 2024, and now 2025, the greatest trend that I see continuing on all these lists is that people are seeking more authenticity as a response to AI. And I gotta say, pretty skeptical about that. I think people are looking for things that look authentic, but companies and photographers are now just trying to manufacture authenticity, but no one's actually looking for real authenticity. Yeah, I mean, people buy compact cameras like, digicams or film to try to give more of an authentic vibe, but I don't think people are wanting more authenticity, especially the people where the money's going. I just think that it all gets commercialized in one way or another. Authenticity is not really the goal. I think it's just really, when it comes down to it, like, all these platforms are built on ad revenue, and we are so trained to know what is an ad is that usually they're really clean, studio image with perfectly lit. And because we've been so trained to believe that, now when you scroll on Instagram, you scroll faster when you see something like that. So I think all these companies and people that work for these companies, like photographers that work for these companies, know that you're going to stop if you feel like you're looking at an image that maybe your friend made because it feels more real. Yeah, I think authenticity as a style or look will continue to expand, but eventually AI is just going to be able to make, like, an image with direct flash that looks kind of bad, like, a friend made it as a snapshot. So people aren't looking for actual authenticity. That's not what social media is. Everyone's stunting. Everybody's trying to, like, look as their best self, blow up how they look. They just want to look better than they are. And that's all that social media is. Okay, but listen. So I came up with my own list of trends. I Googled for trends as to what's coming in 2025. And I couldn't find really anything insightful. Just copies of copies, people saying there will be more landscape photography or more bold colors in photography or whatever. Stuff that's not that helpful, stuff that's not specific enough. So I decided to make my own list, and I'm going to read it to you. So strap in. Here are the Double Negative photography trends and predictions for 2025. Let's do this. Number 1. As we just talked about, the belief that there will be more authenticity will continue to be overblown. So yeah, everybody's going to say there's going to be more authenticity in 2025, and I don't think there really will be. Okay, number 2, photography will continue to be a part-time job for more and more people. And I think this sounds kind of depressing. I think it's great for a lot of people. Just being a full-time photographer, just doing photography is getting harder and harder because just more and more people have like a corporate job and then they like shoot weddings on the weekends or whatever. And there's just more and more people able to balance both. And it just is what it is. But that's also because photography is gaining in popularity, which ultimately is a good thing. But it is kind of tough when you're a full-time photographer trying to make it and you're up against all these people who can charge less and have a lot less to lose because it's not their main source of income. And I think that's been a trend that's been going on for a while, and I just feel like it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, especially in markets like the one I'm in, southeast of the United States. Like, that's just the case. I know so many part-time photographers. It's crazy. And most people don't even really know the difference between a part-time photographer and a full-time photographer. And maybe that's the fault of full-time photographers not being able to differentiate, not being able to stand out, maybe charging too much. I don't know. But that's a trend going forward, continuing. There will be increased videos on YouTube titled 2 hours of relaxing film photography in Joshua Tree or the Tetons or, the Italian countryside or whatever. But that said, photo YouTube will become less samey as short-form video creators flock to YouTube, as short-form video starts to slowly die and erode away, and also because long-form video just pays more than short-form video. Now, I don't think short-form video is going anywhere. Obviously, TikTok is probably going to get banned later this month. I think that's just going to happen. But I do feel like there's this short form video is kind of in this loop. It doesn't seem as impactful. It doesn't seem as like as fiery of an attention getter as it used to be. And I think that's simply because short form video is just kind of like about vanity metrics. It's not clear to me how you make money off short form video. I know there are ways to monetize. I know TikTok's got the creator fund. I know there's ways to do it, but the way to make money off long form video just makes way more sense. And I think a lot of people will learn that. And I think there have been some interesting people doing interesting things in short form video. And if they come to long form video, I think they'll probably give a burst of creativity that some long form video, especially in the photography world, kind of needs. Because the big photography YouTube videos, no shade to any big photography YouTubers, but I do feel like we're trapped in a loop of not knowing what to make, and there's a lot of the same stuff's being made over and over, and I don't know, maybe people like that. I don't personally. So maybe this is more of a hopeful trend than a real one, but I really do think short form creators are going to start going to long form, and you'll see some different industries in long form kind of shake up. Okay, next up. The future of photography will be more about talking about photography more than, actually doing it. And I think this is happening in a lot of industries. The gaming industry is probably the one I think of the most. It's like there's a whole bunch of people that rather watch people play video games than play them themselves. And it's crazy. It's crazy where we've come. But I think that's because photography is gaining mainstream popularity more and more. We'll talk about that. I've seen a couple movies this year, like big Hollywood productions that have photographers as big characters in it. So I think photography is more culturally impactful than it ever has been. But as a result, that has made this like hobbyist sector crop up that's interested in talking about photography, talking about cameras, talking about the act of photography more than actually doing it, which is a benefit for, people like me who are talking to a mic about the photography world right now. But, it's kind of a bummer if you like doing photography, which I would much rather be doing photography than talking about it most of the time. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay, next up, due to this mainstream popularity of photography, there will be more movies where a photographer is portrayed as a ruggedly handsome guy who wears Henleys and a bunch of leather bracelets, or an impressionable young woman who honors her father by using his film camera, even though it's extremely impractical for the situation. I actually think we're going to see more of these. There's all kinds of tropes of what a photographer is. None of them are ever accurate in movies. I don't know if I've ever seen a movie with an accurately depicted photographer. They usually make photographers look really cool, and I don't know any cool photographers personally. I know a lot of nerds who are photographers, not any cool ones. Okay, so I got some industry ones here, so let's go down the list. On a different note, I believe Polaroid will release reclaimed amaranth in 2025. Be very cool. That would be a very cool one. I'm very excited about that one. Oh, and also Polaroid will continue their trend of not responding to my emails. So there you go. There's that. I believe in 2025, there will be more bold colors in photography on film stock boxes. That's right. They make film stock look like candy. They make it look really nice. And then you buy like a cool purple one like Cinestill 400D, which has a very delightful box that you just can't help but purchase. And then it's terrible. That's right. I don't like 400D. It's bad. It's green. It's green. The box should be green. The film is green. The box should be green. Purple. There's no purple in it. It's crazy. I also believe that in 2025, there will be more controversies that eclipse all photography talk, but have almost no relevance in the real world whatsoever. You know, in 2024, I think there was like a controversy with like Cinestill or something. There's just all these controversies that seem so serious when you're in photography threads or YouTube or whatever, but really, when it comes to the rest of the world, it doesn't matter. Who cares? None of it matters. Oh, this one's funny. Double exposures will finally be respected as more than just a gimmick. I believe this is the most unrealistic of all of these. Double exposures will not be taken seriously this year. Although I see more double exposure photographers, more and more. It gets me excited, but I don't know. I just find that people talk about it like it's like a party trick. And, you know, I've gone on and on about that on this channel, but it has a depth in the medium of double exposure that I think is largely still untapped. So I'm all about exploring more double exposures. Okay, in 2025, I believe that camera accessory companies will attempt to surpass the earth-shattering innovation of the USB-C port in a battery, but will ultimately fail in their pursuit of greatness for at least the next 5 years. That's right. I have stumbled upon a great innovation. I got these batteries from the company. You know, I'm not going to shout them out. They're not paying me. I got these batteries from a company. They're genius. They have a USB-C port in the battery themselves, so no need to buy like, for my Sony batteries, I think I paid Sony like $100 for a charger for my Sony camera batteries, and all they had to do was put a USB-C port in the battery, and I just plug it into one of my many USB-C cords. It's crazy that no one did that before. It's the greatest innovation in photography since, I don't know, daguerreotypes probably. Fisheye lenses will come back into vogue after that one Owen Wilson skate video goes viral again and makes the rounds on whatever short form video platform still exists. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know who put that on there. But yeah, I guess that Owen Wilson video is funny and cool. Fisheye lenses are dope. I just got one again, so thus they're going to be trendy again because I just bought one. There will be more focus on iterative camera updates that are nearly imperceptible to the human eye. This goes back to talking about how YouTube videos are kind of like all samey. Like, we talk about minute features that it's like hard to tell the difference between cameras. It's kind of like how I'm a big Mission Impossible fan, and anytime I talk about the Mission Impossible movies with friends, they are always like, I don't know which one is which. They're all the same. Same goes with Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious 8, 9, 10. No one knows the difference between these movies. They're almost imperceptible iterations of the next thing. I would disagree with that when it comes to Mission Impossible. You know, Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout. They're all very different films, especially the first three. The first three, Mission Impossible 1, 2, 3, very different stylistically, extremely different from one another. I could see where people think when we start getting into the Chris McQuarrie, Tom Cruise ones, how they can kind of feel the same, but they don't feel the same to me. They all feel different. But I think these cameras are getting out of control with the iterative stuff that, I mean, who cares? Like, the amount of people that are able to do client work that pays a lot with like a Nikon D600 that came out like years and years ago, like, God, it's just, cameras are all very good now. And it's kind of boring to just talk about the ways they continue to be good, you know? So I just feel like that is ripe for change, I guess, talking about that stuff. And maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, who cares? But just who cares about what has image stabilization versus whatever? I don't know which of my cameras have that. Polaroids don't, so I don't know. Anyways, camera companies will also continue to blindly jam megapixels into cameras for no reason instead of adding better wireless features or internal storage. Oh, but they'll all look vintage. Yeah. So this is another thing, a beef I have with camera companies is we're so focused. Like I heard there's a rumor that Sony's got like an 80 megapixel camera coming. What are we doing? No one needs that. No one has the hard drive space for that. That's crazy. Apple still sells laptops with 500 gigs of hard drive space. Like 80 megapixels is stupid. You don't need it. I have made a living off printing large format prints, like 60 inches or more, sold them to clients from a drone camera, like a 1-inch sensor, like Mavic 2. Like it's just, you don't need 80 megapixels. That's crazy. That's insane. What's even crazier is that cameras still have so much more innovation in other places that they need to do, like using any camera. I'm using my Sony a7 IV to record this right now. Like using this camera compared to my iPhone's so much better. It has so many better features. Obviously, the quality is what continues to sell a camera like a Sony a7 IV. But like we can't live off this forever. Like you got to be able to make it easier to send images or videos to my phone. Add some internal storage because I'll forget my SD cards. I went out yesterday and just didn't put an SD card in my camera. And then what? I'm up a creek. You could put like 64 gigs in here or something at least. It's crazy. It's crazy that camera companies aren't doing that. I think like Hasselblad does it and that's it. And yet we're worried about more megapixels. What are we doing, guys? It's crazy. Okay, next. Film prices will face some sort of reckoning and or older compact early 2000s cameras will eat into the film market and camera companies will try to capitalize on it, but will miss the point of the fact, which is that it's not about having a small camera, but rather people like how much personality the images have, which is just another way of saying they're kind of bad. And people like how they can make videos titled "A Camera That Shoots 35 millimeter film infinitely or for free or whatever." Case in point, the film prices will lead people to find other authentic or bad ways to shoot photos for not a lot of money, which is, I think, why people liked film originally, I believe. Okay, so that was one long run-on sentence that is probably made no sense in the slightest. I just think film has gotten to a point in expensiveness that I think is really going to start affecting people, especially as the economy, doesn't feel like super hot right now. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. But it just seems ridiculous. I just came off this Polaroid 365 project that I spent a lot of money on Polaroid film, but that was actually weirdly cheaper than like shooting roll film, like 35 millimeter 120, because I didn't have to buy it and then also pay to develop it. So I think that you'll probably see a lot more people developing their own film. You'll probably see a lot more people just not shooting film and maybe just using these like little digicams, which I have seen a lot of them. I went to New York a couple months ago, just saw people with digicams everywhere, all over the place. Like terrible ones, like Sony Cybershots, like old ones. I also know people here that are into that now. I know college students who are into using those cameras now because they have a cool early 2000s Y2K style look, which I personally don't love, but I'm an old man now, so it doesn't matter what I like. But I think people like those cameras because they're largely cheap. They largely don't cost anything to shoot. You can just stick an SD card in them, but they still have that kind of old style personality, which I think people like. And that kind of competes with why people started shooting film again. And I think a lot of people shot film, didn't really embrace the process of shooting film. Like even me, like I always ship off my film to get it scanned and developed and all that stuff. I don't really care about the process of developing film. I'm not romantic about it. And I think that's a lot of people. I think a lot of people were just shooting it for the look. And if they can get a look they like out of a cheaper digital camera, I think they're going to go with that instead of film. So I think there will just, I don't know how or when or what, but I think there'll just be some sort of competition or reckoning when it comes to film photography prices. I just don't think it can keep just upping the price of Portra and whatever else. It's just not practical. It doesn't make sense. And I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze at a certain point. But I do think that camera companies this year will capitalize on this compact camera trend, but will totally miss the point, which is that people don't care about small cameras. People care about the look or personality, like the baked-in look out of the box. And so, they'll release a Canon compact camera that has like, way too many megapixels in it and it'll look like, like an iPhone photo, then I don't think it's going to make much of a difference for people. And also, if the compact cameras are going to be like $800, I don't think people want that either, because I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Again, what do I know? I'm just writing trends because the internet couldn't come up with better ones. Okay. Next, photographers will continue to start tweets, blueskis, or threads with, well, as a photographer of however many years, and then will mansplain to men and women alike. This has a 100% chance of continuing. It's crazy. The actuallys of the world, man, they love stuff like this too. Like, I'm going to talk about photographer trends, release a podcast. Who knows? We'll see. I'll get some actuallys from that one. Well, actually, I've been a practicing photographer for 40 years, and I will say that you're completely wrong about everything, and I know everything there is about photography, and everyone does it wrong except for me. That's kind of like the tone. It's quite annoying. I don't really take it seriously. So people can get over themselves. And finally, my final trend of 2025, and this one you may not have thought about until now, but then you'll realize it's correct. Women and Canadians will continue to overtake American men as the dominant innovators in the photography space. You ever notice this, by the way? It's just like Canadians have taken over photography, and women as well. The people doing the most interesting work on Instagram and Threads and wherever else you see photography, I feel like, especially in double exposure stuff, we talked about double exposure stuff a second ago, it's like women and Canadians. They're just, American men are nowhere to be found. What are we doing? We have lost a lot of ground. Women and Canadians, hand in hand, taking over the photography world. I mean, every big YouTuber, they're all from Canada, even filmmaker YouTube, Canadians, they're everywhere. It's crazy. So yeah, America's hat taking over America's head. I don't know. It's stupid. Okay. So yeah, it's just interesting. I don't know. I have no, positives or negatives against it. I just have noticed it's like all the interesting stuff going on right now is run by women and Canadians. So take that for what you will. I don't know. But all I know is that American men like myself probably should step it up in one way or another. Seems like, or not. I mean, who cares? I don't really care. I just want good stuff to be made. That's all I really care about. So, so those are my photography trends of 2025. They're inscrutable. You cannot argue with any of these. These are all 100% factually accurate. I'm very excited about Polaroid reclaimed amaranth. That one's going to be really great. I actually do really want Polaroid to have a reclaimed red or purpley kind of thing. That would be better than reclaimed snot green. I think I would really like that. I guess we'll just have to wait till Charlie XCX comes out with another color that culture bends around. It was brat green next year. Who knows what it'll be next year. Or this year, rather. It's 2025 now. So as far as this year goes in the double negative universe, I've got some stuff I'm working on. It's been a weird couple weeks, holidays, you're just kind of like, you're on your routine, you're kind of not. I finished a 365 project. That was exhausting, those last couple days of it. Laying it all out and doing a whole thing. Like, I spent all of New Year's Day editing that. And to do the slideshow at the end, I did the slideshow at the end of the video of every single Polaroid I shot over the year. Dude, I gotta say, I appreciate the amount of people that hit me up and said they watched through all the images. That meant a lot because that was a pain in the butt to get them all formatted for a video. It took me, New Year's Day was spent in my cave working on that video. And so I really appreciate everyone that's watched it. It's doing pretty well comparatively to a lot of my other videos. So I really appreciate everybody that's watched that. It actually really helps because I put a lot of work into that, like a lot. And it took hours to make that. So I really appreciate all of you that have followed along. A lot of you that have hit me up, how inspired you were that I shot a Polaroid every day in 2024. I'm just thinking more. I'm working on some projects. I've got some that I'm working on that we'll talk about in the future. I feel kind of freed up to think about something other than taking a Polaroid every day, which is nice. And I think I'm just kind of starting to like get back in gear. So yeah, we'll do some fun stuff this year. I'm very excited about where Double Negative is going from here. And I would say that's the greatest trend and prediction of all, is that Double Negative will continue to rocket off into the stratosphere to be the greatest photography YouTube channel in the universe. I mean, that's what we're all doing here, right? That's the plan, right? You've gotten that from the beginning of Double Negative. That's what I'm after, is to be the greatest living photographer on photography YouTube. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? It's not about being authentic. It's about being the best and making the most money in any way you can. We got a long way to go from that goal. It's a bit of a steep climb. I will admit, I'm pretty close to the bottom. I'm still touching the ground with my feet. Haven't really climbed that far, but with your help, I can. But no, really, in all seriousness, I appreciate all of you. I hope you all have a happy new year, or have already had one. It's January 5th as of recording, so I hope you've enjoyed your first almost week of 2025. And yeah, I will see you very soon. Check out my Instagram at Will Malone. Check out my Polaroid Instagram account at Everyday Instant. Go to the Substack, subscribe there. This Thursday, I'm going to talk about what my gear setup is for going forward in 2025. Should be fun. And then like and subscribe this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go to willmalone.com. Got to make some changes at willmalone.com, add some new prints here soon, but go to willmalone.com, order a print. That would mean a lot. It really does. It really feels amazing when people buy prints, especially the people that come and buy prints of photos that like I wouldn't have expected. I usually put a print up there and I think, oh, this one's going to kill. And then it's some obscure different print that I wouldn't have expected people to like. That's the one that actually sells. So I don't know. I don't know what people like. Who am I to write a list of trends? That makes no sense. If I don't even know what people like in photography, I don't know what people like to watch. I don't know what's going on. And yet I'm over here arrogantly writing a list of trends that I think are 100% accurate and can't be argued with. So with that said, Happy New Year, and I will see you soon.